Today on CityCast Nashville, it's 2 days until Christmas and Hanukkah, 3 days until Kwanzaa, and we hope you are surrounded by the warmth of family and friends. That said, if the family is in your house, you may be looking for someplace to take them or, send them to get a little breathing room. Well, we've got you covered. Shawnee Glapian, the founder of the Black Beer Experience, is here to give us the rundown on the best microbreweries in Nashville, from OGs like Yazoo and Jackalope to tap rooms you've possibly never heard of before. Who's got the best food? Who's the most kid-friendly? And who's most likely to have a weird stout on tap? Let's find out. It's Monday, December 23rd. I'm your executive producer, Whitney Pastorek, and this is what Nashville's talking about. What are you personally looking for in a beer?
So I am a clean, crisp beer drinker. You know those the hops that people tend to avoid? I dive right into them.
So you like an IPA?
Yes, and specifically a West Coast IPA.
What is the difference?
Typically, West Coast IPAs are drier. They're often more dank, as a word that's used. Sometimes you smell it, is that like cannabis?
Yeah, or socks.
Or socks for some. That I'm a IPA addict is what I call myself. But I will say recently I've been venturing out more.
I do think that IPAs got a bad rep because some very bearded gentlemen became just obsessed with them and couldn't get past the idea of IPA this and triple IPA that and quadruple IPA. And so people did turn on them a little bit.
Also, IPAs, they're easy to add adjunct ingredients. So people will add all kind of craziness. And it's like, yo, calm down, please. We don't need stouts are another one, chocolate, marshmallow, cherry.
Oh my gosh. The milkshake beers drive me insane.
Disgusting to me.
I do not need my beer to be also my dessert. That's what dessert is for.
All beers are not created equal.
So then, all right, right now, right here in front of the entire world, what is, in your opinion, the best local beer in Nashville?
The best local beer is hard to say, and that is because people change out their beers. I can tell you the brewery that has the best beers consistently for me.
Yes, please.
That would be Fate LaForce.
Okay, where is that?
So that is in the Wedgwood, Houston area, kind of tucked in the corner across the track. So they're walkable to Jackalope, but if that train is sitting there, it becomes a little bit of a problem.
6 hours later, you might make it. So what is it about that place that you think they do right?
Okay, I do have to preface that I did work at Fate LaForce, but I worked at Fate LaForce because they had good beers. I'm not saying they had good beers because I worked at Fate LaForce.
Fair, noted. All right.
So Fate LaForce is known for their Belgian beers, but they just make every style, they just hit it on the head, honestly. They don't do any of the frills, the adjuncts. It's just typical beer ingredients. And that's what does it for me.
Right. And I would assume that you also dig the vibe over there in terms of a place to hang, because I think that's another important component to these being local neighborhood joints.
Absolutely. So their location has a great view of the city, especially in the fall. They open up the garage doors. And so you get the nice breeze, you get the view of the city, great place to watch fireworks. It's a vibe. They have a reading club night where you can go and you can read books. You don't have to talk to anybody if you don't want to, but they kind of break it up where you read books and then for a little while you can talk about your books and whatnot. It's where you can go and get work done. You can have a group of friends. They just added a food component that's really good. So I feel like I'm advertising for them.
But you're advertising as an expert. We asked you to do this. So you're no one's coming for you. And I really do appreciate that you mentioned the reading theme, because truly that is something that I value the most about any food or drink establishment, is the ability to go alone, have my pile of New Yorker magazines that never gets any smaller, and try to get through some of that reading material. But I do love to have my dog there. So Fate LaForce, pet friendly?
Pet friendly.
Okay.
They can come into the tap room. There's a nice patio area. So pet friendly, kid friendly. It is not as kid friendly as the East Nashville Beer Works. There is no playground.
Okay, there is nowhere in Nashville that is as kid-friendly as East Nashville Beer Works. Let's
Correct.
just admit it, y'all. If you haven't been there, they did a really smart thing during the pandemic, which is they added on a giant playground in what used to be their parking lot. It's really, I think, the perfect place if you're a parent to get your drink on while your child is dubiously supervised.
Let me add, though, for the non-parents, it's sectioned off enough where typically the kids are at the playground. I just went the other day and I didn't see not one kid unless they were walking out or like going to the restroom. But I wasn't bothered by like the little tykes running around while I was drinking my beer.
I really value the way they've built that into exactly what I think a great local brewery should be, which is a gathering place, a hub for a neighborhood, a place to connect with each other.
Yeah, I agree.
You mentioned to me another great brewery that you're putting on your best list right now that I had literally never heard of.
It's called Breweries. They do a different type of program. They do like open fermenting for their beers. So it's not quite, it's a sour, but it's wild fermented. So it's not like the Southern Grist sours. It is the elements creating your beer.
Oh my goodness.
See, you can start nerding out on the talk. Let me just say that they make some great beers all around. And it's not just the open fermented beers. They make, good IPAs. Barrique is kind of the place where the industry beer drinkers go to drink beer.
Oh, interesting. Okay, where is it?
It is by the Titan Stadium, kind of tucked under the bridge.
Is that the one where Little Harpeth used to be?
Yes, the exact location.
So it's a warehouse kind of next to Crosspoint TV Church.
Yep, right there.
All right. And do they have more of an outdoor space? I know it was a really simple space when Little Harpeth was there.
It is still pretty simple. They have their back area, which has a nice view of the city as well. Now, I don't know if they've made any changes to this, but there is no air conditioning system or heating system. It's very much a warehouse. So the interior matches the elements, the outside elements.
All right, that's something to keep in mind. But if you are one of those people who loves to nerd out on this stuff, Barrique sounds like a great option for you. And I want to go learn what open fermented means because I have no idea. Let's talk about another one that you just mentioned, Southern Grist.
Okay.
One of the things that I know people like about Southern Grist is not just their beers, because those are sometimes a little bit strange, but Southern Grist has amazing food.
Yeah, so Southern Grist in the East Nashville area also has the restaurant called Lauder. It's like a full-on restaurant. You sit there and you can order. Of course, you can just go and have beers, but they have a pretty nice menu. It's a cool date night, if you will.
And their beers do tend to be more adventurous. It's a bunch of stuff that usually doesn't appeal to me as someone who doesn't love weird beers, but there's always like a nitro element or, like you said, some crazy sours. What are some of your favorite things that they've done over the years?
I have not seen it again, and I really hey, Southern Grist, if you're listening, please bring this one back. It was called Wassail the Ocean. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Wassail.
It's like a cider. I think of it as like something you drink when you're caroling.
Yeah, it's kind of wine-esque. Kind of a wine cider-ish type mix. And y'all might remember they make Boil the Ocean. Southern Grist does, which is kind of an orange flavored beer, if you will. It's same family. So a little trick of what Southern Grist do. They brew a base beer. They split it up. They add different adjuncts. And so you get different types of flavored beer, but the foundation of the beer is the same.
You keep saying adjuncts, and it makes me think that we're putting professors in this beer. An adjunct is just an added flavor outside of the hops and malt and whatever else, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So even if you're drinking a Bud Light Lime, the lime would be the adjunct.
Yep.
Please don't drink Bud Light Lime.
Yeah, don't.
Let's talk about some other places that have great food. What's another place that you really like?
It's going to be Black Dynasty at at Bearded Iris. So that's
that's the ramen place.
The ramen place. Again, do you eat ramen in the summertime? That's a personal decision. But the ramen is the best I've tasted. Now, I'm no ramen connoisseur, but the ramen I've had in comparison it just doesn't have this depth and flavor. They make the noodles in house. They, make the stock, and it's good. Fate LaForce just added jam box to their brewery.
Oh.
Yeah, so they make unique sandwiches. My favorite is the blueberry cobb. So the whole thing is jams, right? It's the jam box. They have jams on their sandwiches. Light, just a little sweetness. It's not overpowering or anything. But they have a blueberry jam. And then they make a scrambled egg salad. I don't know, but it works.
Y'all couldn't see my face just then, which was,
Yeah, I don't know, but it works. Also, Bearded Iris, the Germantown location, has the burger spot outside.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you want burgers, that's a great place to go.
Yeah. So I think this is a really good range. We've got sort of the Southern Grist, like elevated Southern cuisine, but then you've got Bearded Iris with ramen, Smith and Lentz, and a bunch of other places with great pizza. There's something out there for every taste. All right, last question, and then we're going to go to a break really quick. We did mention that East Nashville Beer Works is great for pets and for kids. Are there a couple other places that you really like that are great for those? I know Tailgate does a lot of like dog adoption events.
Yep. So Tailgate is another one that's a great family one, especially the one in West Nashville has the most space. They have a pretty solid pizza as well. So if you go on pizza and beer, you can have, and then they have NA beers or NA drinks for the
we
kids.
love that.
So yeah, and they have some unique beers. So if you're into flavors and those adjuncts, your Southern Grist and Tailgate are the ones. Another one I would say is kid friendly would be Jackalope. Just because they have like this outdoor area, the atmosphere is very energetic and fun. So I think that one's pretty cool for kids as well.
Okay, awesome. I've got stuff to say about Jackalope when we come back. Y'all don't go away. We're back with Shani Glapian of the Black Beer Experience, and she's walking us through some of the best breweries in Nashville. And I'm going to make another confession, which is I don't like weird beer. I apologize to the weird beer lovers. For example, every time someone wants me to meet them at Living Waters, I have a concern. But there are some of our local breweries that have beers that have been so standardized that you can buy them in cans at the grocery store. One of my favorites for that is Jackalope. I love Lovebird. That's summer has started when Lovebird appears.
Yep.
What are some of the other sort of really dependable local breweries whose products are available in stores that you love?
I would totally give New Heights a shout out. I want to say it's like a low key brewery, but they make some solid beers. Stout game is on point. Black Abbey Rose, solid. If you like Lovebird, I think Black Abbey Rose is kind of along those same lines in that, it's a very enjoyable beer. Of course, you can't forget Yazoo beer.
Yes. I feel like they're sort of an OG on the scene.
They are the OG. I think right behind them is Jackalope and then Black Abbey.
Right on.
Those are some of the OG ones for sure.
I will also admit that I can crush a home style if given the opportunity, a Bearded Iris home style. That's an IPA.
So home style is easy drinking. It's kind of an everybody beer.
Do you like your beers to be a little more challenging?
I do like my beers to be a little more challenging.
I'm so fascinated by this, though, because I really don't put this much thought into it. I'm like, ooh, beer. But you have a palate and you're a connoisseur.
Yeah. I mean, I've refined it a little bit. It's very hard to put back cheap beer nowadays. I get the store-bought versions of craft beer. Those are the ones that are my easy drinking everyday beer. If you really want like some good beer, kind of the ones that they're in stores, but they aren't mass produced, you want to go to somewhere like Cork Dorks and check out their beer options. These might be sitting on a shelf. They might not, so you're getting them and you're going to put them in the fridge. Now, a lot of breweries are selling beers out their coolers.
Yeah.
So you can go to a brewery and pick up a 6-pack. You mentioned Living Waters. I actually am a fan of Living Waters because of their stout game. They make some great stouts. I went to their site and there's a stout that you can sign up for. It's birthday cake. I'm not sure about that.
No, thank you. I don't even like cake.
I had a beer that tastes just like a German chocolate cake. And yeah,
I
So
can't
when I
do
say
it.
there's a beer out there for everyone, there is.
If people take anything away from this episode, it's don't let people push you around. We have so much choice here in Nashville, and there's a beer out there for you and a brewery out there for you. One thing I think we should talk about, which is a great way to get around to all these breweries, is the Music City Brew Hop.
Yeah, that's a great option for if you want to drink beer and not have to worry about driving, because be safe, don't drink and drive. And it goes to some really, Sailor Force is one of those places that it goes to. But one of the other kind of low key breweries that I'm a fan of is Crazy Gnome.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the reasons I like Crazy Gnome is you can bring food into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like beer solid, but like being able to say, my wife is plant based, so we're gonna go pick up something for her to eat. I'll grab something. They often have a food truck, and so we can come there, enjoy a beer. Shout out to Kramer, the taproom manager there, and have good conversation. They have a great trivia night and stuff like that. So
And it's got a really good vibe, and it's tucked away. It's behind Main Street Liquors on happily enough Main Street over here in East. But yeah, Music City Brew Hop, if y'all want to check it out, it's musiccitybrewhop.com. They've got an East Loop and a West Loop, so you can visit so many of the places we've talked about here. Plus, it's hop on, hop off. So if you find your perfect brew, you can sit and stay a while. All right, now that we've determined that you're an expert and you have a refined palate that far surpasses mine, tell us about the Black Beer Experience. It's a social group that you've started. How might people find you or get involved?
You can visit the blackbeerexperience.com. You can find me on IG. I do post more in my stories than on my timeline, but when there's an event, I drop it on the timeline so people know. So what happened is my wife and I, we travel. We love to travel. We started drinking beer when like Groupon was really around, and you could get a long time ago. Kind of feel like I'm showing my age. I don't know.
That's all right.
When Groupon was around, you used to be able to get like a Groupon for buy one get one, and so you would go and do this tour of the brewery because they couldn't actually sell you the beer, so they would charge you for a tour and then give you free beer. So we started going to those and we're like, oh, this is cool. Yazoo was one that we did. We enjoyed it, but then we also looked at each other and said, okay, I think we know how beer is made. You want to just start buying beer? And at this point, laws had changed. Laws had changed. So we would go to different cities and go to different breweries, and I would be in the tap room and you might see one Black person every so often. And I said, man, it would just be great if there was a group that I could just get together with like monthly or something and just chill and have conversation and drink beer. I looked for it. It didn't exist. And my wife said, well, create it. And so here we are.
That's outstanding. Where do you think your love of beer came from?
Yeah, money is what got me into it. So in Atlanta, Sweetwater 420, I'm from Atlanta before I moved up to Nashville. Sweetwater 420 is the Yazoo of Atlanta, if you will. They had a special at one of the bars I would go to, and you would get a shot in the beer for like, I think $5, maybe $6. And that was the way for me to actually drink beer. We drank beer in college. I went to a college
like
town.
Rolling Rock.
We did Bud Light. It was very like
Yingling.
We upgraded to Yingling.
Yeah.
That was the next level. And then once I had a Yingling, I was like, okay, I can't go back to Bud. And then I did a Sweetwater 420, and I was like, oh, I'm a craft beer drinker. That's what this is. That there wasn't any going back there, but I've enjoyed the journey. And the industry is changing a bit because when I first started drinking beer, we would not have the conversation of who has the best food. That is kind of a newer process or a newer part that people have added to the breweries because especially post-pandemic, it's hard to sustain a brewery because people aren't drinking as much and aren't drinking in establishments as much.
Do you feel like any of the problem that you noticed when you started Black Beer Experience is getting any better? Is the scene becoming more welcoming, more diverse?
There's still a long way to go. I want to say that it has always been pretty welcoming. Of course, depending on where in the country you're drinking, that's going to make a difference. But that was one of the reasons I ended up falling in love with the breweries, because they were just great spaces to just go and chill. It was more laid back. You could have those conversations. And then when you start talking about the flavor profiles of beer and start nerding out a little bit, you catch another person at the bar. And so now you're talking about your beer experience and they're talking about theirs and go try this brewery. So it's a great way to kind of experience a city without going to any other attraction.
Yeah, absolutely. But I would definitely I'd love to see more people have opportunities to step up and make beer other than our bearded white friends.
Let me give this shout out to, there was the Black is Beautiful that happened in the summer of George Floyd, and kind of in response to the country going, haywire. The brewers decided to come together and somebody released a recipe for the community to brew. So many breweries picked it up. Part of the fun was, did you try this one? Oh, ship
Yeah.
me this one from that city, so it was a great time.
All right. More of that, please. Look, the bottom line is we have got a great microbrewery scene here in Nashville. Y'all get out there, support these local businesses. If you haven't been to one of the places that Shawnee's shared with us today, take this opportunity to do so. Don't be like me. Don't sit at the same picnic table in the same brewery every weekend wondering why you don't have any new friends. You can follow her at the Black Beer Experience on Instagram. She's also got that website. And we'd love to have you back on sometime whenever there's anything going on. Maybe you can report back on the birthday cake beer.
Oh, yeah. Let's go have a beer and then we talk about it.
That sounds like a plan. You have to take me to someplace I haven't been, though.
Yes, absolutely.
That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We're taking a couple days off for the holidays, but we'll be back on Thursday with more news from around the city. Meanwhile, to all those who celebrate, have yourself a merry little Christmas, Hanukkah Sameach, Haberigani, and we'll see you soon.